Welcome to our channel, where we delve into some of the most tragic and complex true crime cases in recent history. Today, we're covering a heartbreaking story that has left a lasting impact on mental health advocacy and the importance of family support. This is the story of Amelia Davidson, a mother who battled severe postpartum psychosis, a condition that would ultimately lead to an unimaginable tragedy. As we recount the details of this case, we'll explore how untreated mental illness can create devastation and how this family's heartbreaking journey has raised awareness nationwide. The Davidson family seemed to be living an idyllic life in the quiet suburbs of Willow Creek, Texas. Amelia Davidson, a soft-spoken woman in her mid-30s, was known for her warmth and devotion to her family. With her husband Grant, they were raising 5 beautiful children: Evan, Sarah, Liam, Mason, and Grace. Their home on Maplewood Lane radiated the happiness and chaos that comes with a large, close-knit family. Amelia had been a bright and accomplished woman before stepping into motherhood, excelling in school, and later becoming a registered nurse. She was the youngest of 5 siblings and had always been the responsible, compassionate one, often caring for her family and friends with remarkable patience. However, her deep sense of responsibility would become a double-edged sword as her family grew. The Davidsons met in the early 90s when Grant, a cheerful and hardworking engineer, began attending the same small church as Amelia. They quickly bonded over their shared faith and vision of a large family. In 1994, they married, setting the foundation for the family life they would build together. It was a life built on simplicity, strong values, and traditional roles. While Grant worked to support the family, Amelia stayed at home, dedicating herself to homeschooling and raising their children with a focus on faith and family values. Yet beneath the surface, Amelia's mental health was deteriorating. Each new child brought joy, but also an escalating sense of overwhelm. Grant, deeply committed to his work and his faith, was often away from home, leaving Amelia to shoulder the daily demands of 5 young children. After the birth of their first child, Amelia had felt bouts of sadness and lethargy, feelings she chalked up to the stress of being a new mother. But after Sarah, their second child, was born, those feelings deepened, and by the time she had her 5th, Grace, Amelia felt herself slipping into a dark place she couldn't escape. What Amelia didn't realize was that she was suffering from postpartum psychosis, an extreme condition that can distort reality and cause hallucinations. As each child was born, her mental state grew more fragile. She started to hear voices, cruel whispers that told her she was failing her family, that her children were doomed because of her failings. Amelia tried to tell herself these were merely her own doubts, but the voices became more persistent, more menacing. They told her that she was a sinful mother, and in her distressed mind, she began to believe them. Amelia confided in Grant, trying to explain the dark thoughts clouding her mind. But Grant, not fully understanding the depth of her suffering, encouraged her to focus on prayer and to trust that God would see her through. He had a deep-rooted faith in resilience and believed that these were just trials, tests of their devotion and faith. Her condition worsened with the birth of each child. Neighbors began noticing that Amelia seemed thinner and more withdrawn, and her once bright smile faded. Her parents worried about her well-being, urging her to seek help, but Amelia's sense of duty kept her from admitting the depths of her struggles. After Grace's birth, Amelia experienced her first full breakdown. She was plagued by vivid hallucinations and crippling anxiety. One morning, she left the house barefoot, wandering Maplewood Lane, muttering about needing to protect her children. Concerned neighbors called Grant, who rushed home and gently guided her back to the house. The incident was a wake-up call, and soon after, Grant insisted on taking her to a psychiatrist. The doctor diagnosed Amelia with severe postpartum psychosis, explaining that it was a condition far more serious than depression. She was prescribed antipsychotic medication and antidepressants, and doctors advised her to avoid further pregnancies as the condition would only worsen. Yet, her episodes continued, and soon, Amelia stopped taking the medication, convinced it was making her feel numb and detached. Grant decided to monitor her closely but continued to work full-time, believing their faith and family support would suffice. Meanwhile, Amelia's hallucinations grew stronger. She started to see images that convinced her she was in a battle for her children's souls. The voices told her she was failing as a mother, that her children were in danger, and only she could protect them. On June 15, 2002, Grant left for work as usual, leaving Amelia alone with the children. This was routine, and though he knew she was struggling, he had faith that she could manage. Amelia's parents had offered to help, but she declined, assuring them she was fine. She wanted to prove, if not to them, at least to herself, that she could care for her children. That morning, the voices in her head were louder than ever. They told her that the only way to save her children was to remove them from the world, sparing them from the darkness she believed would consume them. It was a thought so horrifying, yet so powerful, that it seemed like an undeniable truth to her distorted mind. Amelia moved through the house, gathering each of her children one by one, her actions calm, yet mechanical. She led Evan, her oldest, to the bathroom and filled the tub with water. Despite his protests, she drowned him, whispering words of comfort even as she took his life. She repeated this tragic act with each of her children. 7-year-old Sarah was the last, witnessing the heartbreaking scene before succumbing to the same fate as her siblings. With the deed done, Amelia sat on the bathroom floor, staring at the water, numb and lost in a haze. When she finally picked up the phone, she called 911, her voice eerily calm. She gave her address and stated, "I just drowned my children." Then she called Grant, urging him to come home immediately. When police arrived at the Davidson home, they were met with a chilling scene that sent shockwaves through Willow Creek and beyond. The officers found Amelia sitting on the floor, muttering to herself in a monotone voice. She was taken into custody without resistance, and as news of the tragedy spread, the community was left grappling with an unimaginable horror. People who knew Amelia struggled to reconcile the loving, devoted mother they had seen with the horrific crime she had committed. Neighbors and friends spoke to the media, recounting how Amelia had always appeared gentle, albeit worn down in recent years. Her family released a statement expressing their shock and grief, both for the loss of the children and for Amelia, who they knew had been fighting her inner demons. Amelia's trial was highly publicized, and the courtroom was packed with reporters and spectators trying to understand what had driven this quiet, loving mother to commit such a shocking act. The prosecution argued that Amelia was fully aware of her actions, presenting it as a premeditated crime. They pushed for a harsh sentence, claiming that her family had reached out to help her and that she had chosen to ignore their assistance. But her defense team painted a different picture. They argued that Amelia's actions were the tragic result of untreated postpartum psychosis, a mental illness that had clouded her judgment and driven her to act out of fear for her children's safety. They brought in medical experts to testify about her condition, explaining that she genuinely believed she was saving her children. The court heard details of her mental health struggles, her hallucinations, and the failed attempts to manage her condition. Friends and family members testified, painting a picture of a woman who had fought bravely against a mental illness, but had ultimately been failed by the system. After weeks of emotional testimonies, the jury returned a verdict. Amelia was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Instead of prison, she was sentenced to a high-security mental health facility where she could receive the care she so desperately needed. Amelia's case brought the issue of postpartum psychosis into the national spotlight. Medical experts and advocates began speaking out, urging for greater awareness, resources, and support for new mothers facing similar conditions. They argued that Amelia's tragedy could have been prevented if she had received the proper treatment and support from both her family and the healthcare system. The Davidson family tragedy left an indelible mark on Willow Creek and spurred change in how mental health, particularly postpartum psychosis, is approached. Mental health advocates worked tirelessly to ensure that mothers struggling with severe postpartum conditions could access support without stigma. Amelia's story became a call to action, highlighting the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness and the critical need for compassion and understanding. In the years following, Rusty often visited Amelia, who had faded into a quiet, reflective state. She would sometimes speak about her children, recalling their laughter and personalities, now distant memories shrouded in sorrow. She expressed her deep regret, though her words were few and tinged with a sadness she could never fully convey. Today, the story of Amelia Davidson and her children serves as a heartbreaking reminder of the importance of mental health care. It's a story that underscores the urgent need for awareness, early intervention, and a compassionate approach to those who are silently suffering. Amelia Davidson's story is a powerful reminder of the dangers of untreated mental illness, and it has shined a light on the critical need for early intervention and compassion for those suffering. Her case continues to drive important conversations about mental health, especially around the postpartum period. As we remember her children and the tragic events that unfolded, let's also remember the importance of supporting families and individuals facing mental health struggles. If you or someone you know is going through something similar, please don't hesitate to seek help. Together, we can create a future where stories like this are preventable. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories.